What's up, everyone? Welcome to the February 11th edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Today, we're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on FanDuel. As always, be sure to tune into the deeper dive and live before lock in the 2 hours up until tip. We will have more information both on players that were traded yesterday and may or may not be available today, and on, hopefully at least, on some of the injury statuses that we're still waiting on. But for now, we're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options as things currently stand. Number 5, Robert Williams, projected for 10% ownership with a 13% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's a $7,500 power forward / center. Williams is over a fantasy point per minute producer on FanDuel. He's been playing increased minutes recently, typically giving you 32 to 34 minutes when games are competitive. And Boston is potentially shorthanded tonight. That doesn't necessarily have a huge impact on Williams, but they may only have 8 players available. And if that's the case, you're going to need Al Horford to be playing some minutes at the 4. So I would expect, Horford still to be the backup center, but it makes it basically just solidifies Williams' minutes because it's difficult to envision a scenario where Al Horford is playing a bunch of minutes at center and the Celtics are electing to play, Grant Williams or Peyton Pritchard over Robert Williams, essentially. So makes them just even a little bit safer here. Number 4, Tobias Harris, projected for 7% ownership and 11% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He is relatively expensive tonight at $8,500, but he does have a pretty good matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. We also have a shorthanded Philadelphia team. The only question is how shorthanded will they be? But we know that they don't have Seth Curry. Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton are both questionable as well. If Maxey and Milton were to miss this game, you probably see more assist opportunities for Tobias Harris in addition to Joel Embiid. That would make him look a little bit better. But one way or the other, this is, a 7-game slate, and getting somebody like Tobias Harris that is a little over a fantasy point per minute guy and is likely to give you 35 or 36 minutes in competitive games at 7% ownership is just, a reasonable option, a reasonable way to be contrarian without sacrificing much upside in your lineups. He also has small forward and power forward eligibility, so you have a couple of more positions that you can roster him at as well. Number 3, Buddy Hield is projected for 10% ownership with a 14% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Hield is only $4,700 and he has shooting guard and small forward eligibility. One reason to be interested in Hield is that we don't really know what we're going to get from him in Indiana. We know what we were getting in Sacramento this year, and that's a player that was averaging around 0.9 fantasy points per minute. And when the team was healthy, essentially playing 26 minutes or so on most nights, you could certainly get more playing time with Indiana, and you could get more production as well. Right now, we have Malcolm Brogdon questionable for the Pacers. If he's in, you know that he's going to play a big role offensively, and Tyrese Halliburton is going to play a sizable role offensively. But after that, there's not a whole lot of competition for Buddy Hield. And if Brogdon is out, even more so, you could see Hield just getting up a lot of shots. It's a tough matchup against Cleveland, but this price tag is very cheap for someone that potentially plays 30 plus minutes and that potentially can average a fantasy point per minute on this new team. Number 2, Lonnie Walker, only projected for 7% ownership with a 13% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has shooting guard and small forward eligibility. He's only $4,500. Walker has averaged about 0.9 fantasy points per minute this season, and it's likely that we see increased playing time tonight because the Spurs shipped Derek White to the Celtics yesterday. In return, they got Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford, but neither of those guys are going to be available tonight for the Spurs. So my expectation is that Devin Vassell moves into the starting lineup, but that you also get increased playing time for Lonnie Walker, who is still priced to play 20 to 22 minutes. I think you could get 24 to 26 from Walker, which would make him look pretty good at this salary and ownership. And number 1, Evan Mobley, projected for 5% ownership with a 12% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's a $7,500 power forward / center on FanDuel. We can expect Mobley to play 34 or 35 minutes tonight against Indiana. He's around a fantasy point per minute player this season. The Cavs will be without Darius Garland, and in the past, that has opened up opportunities for Mobley as a playmaker and getting a more usage. I don't necessarily know that will be the case tonight since the Cavs did add Karis LeVert, and you probably will see him play 30 plus minutes, but there's certainly the opportunity for Mobley to do at least a little bit more. And even if not, if you're just getting an average game from Mobley, he still has a high ceiling given his ability to rack up defensive stats and his just general ability to be a good productive fantasy basketball player at only 5% ownership. So to recap, the top 5 options as things currently stand on FanDuel: number 5, Robert Williams; number 4, Tobias Harris; number 3, Buddy Hield; number 2, Lonnie Walker; and number 1, Evan Mobley.